Under, off the board. Gets around him, up, under, and in. Oh, what a move for... If you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Hello, NBA sports fans. Welcome back to the Up and Under. We are coming back from a slew of fantastic, in question mark, Game 7s. And we are brought together through the Up and Under podcast. I am Zach Big Dog Hendo. We are greeted here alongside our Ottawa Valley native,
Sebastian Wilmer. I'm right here. Yeah, what a great... It's NBA playoffs, guys. What else is there?
Oh, finals, baby. And then alongside us, too, we got my favorite Spaniard. We got ourselves Sancho Perez.
How's it going? Set all your burner accounts to private.
Oh, everyone's going private tonight.
If you didn't get the joke, we're going to fill you in soon enough.
Oh, but Colangelo, he's going to have a fun couple days. But back to what's at hand. We've had a couple fantastic Game 7s on our hands. We were graced by the likes of the Cavaliers beating the Boston Celtics in 7, alongside the Golden State Warriors beating the Houston Rockets to again grace us with a 4-time in a row NBA Finals of the Golden State Warriors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Charles Barkley called it months ago, beginning of the season.
Oh, beginning of the season, man. Vegas was betting on that early.
Surprise, surprise.
But, yes. But to start this show off, we're going to take a look at what happened with the Eastern Conference Finals and LeBron's greatness willing that poor soul team of a Cavaliers back to the NBA Finals.
It was worth it just to see that Jose eyebrow raise and smile, you know. That alone is enough. I'll take it. I am now Cleveland Cavalier fans. Look at me go. Let's root for the underdog. No, although I thought Boston was going to make it happen. Not in Game 7, of course, but LeBron doing his thing in Game 7 to make sure his team gets through. What an accomplishment. 8 years in a row. Probably with the worst team he's ever played with. And yeah, so big accomplishment for him and his team. And obviously Jose Calderon, who we all have a soft spot for.
Yeah, LeBron is just at another level. Not just the way he dominated the game, but just the way he handles himself on the court and off the court is just pure greatness. And the Celtics have to feel great about the season overall, but they should look back at this game and feel like they could have definitely won this, missing a ton of shots. And eventually, you know, the youth got to them a little bit, so to speak, the inexperience. You know, Rozier, Brown weren't as poised as in other games, but another positive for the Celtics is Jason Tatum just looked amazing. Not like his teammates, super poised. And, good season for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think the name of the game for Game 7 and kind of the story along the series was that defense wins the game. We all kind of knew that both teams, the Celtics and the Cavs, missing some key offensive players, with the Cavs losing Kevin Love later on in the series, and the Boston Celtics really having to rely on Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and Terry Rozier to really make up that offensive presence. We kind of expected it to be not as high scoring, but we didn't expect it to be like this.
I didn't notice Terry Rozier played Game 7. 0 for 9 from 3-point range. I mean, I expected the dude to. These are the moments he lives for, and earlier in the playoffs, he was stepping up for those. But huge factor in their loss. A couple of those threes going down might have changed the game for that Boston Celtics team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just looking at the field goal percentage for the Boston Celtics team, I'm only really seeing two guys right now that shot over 50%, and that was Al Horford and Jason Tatum, the usual suspects. Like Seb just mentioned, Terry Rozier. On NBA.com, they have it listed as 0 for 10 from 3. So that's quite ridiculous. He shot 14.3% in a Game 7. You can definitely tell that the nerves got to him a little bit. 4 points, 4 assists. It's kind of rough. And 4 rebounds. 4, 4, 4.
Yeah, I was surprised that Stevens went with him to finish the game. Actually, I think Rozier came back in with like 4 or 5 minutes to go for Brown, and I was surprised. He hadn't hit a shot all game. He challenged LeBron and got absolutely destroyed on that play. But overall, the looks that the Celtics had, I thought, were pretty good. Um, there were some open looks. I didn't think that they rushed too many of those shots. I just think Rozier was especially forcing a lot. But some of the looks Brown got, some of the looks Morris got, Horford were pretty good. And it's too bad that they couldn't hit those because, yeah, make or miss league, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like this game was relatively competitive for the entirety of the game. It was really up until maybe like the 5 minute point of the fourth quarter that you could really tell that the Cavs were going to run away with it and that LeBron was poised again for another finals run. I wouldn't say I was cheering for Boston, but of course, like it is nice to have a change. In my early predictions, I was cheering for the Cavs, and I'm still going to cheer for LeBron and greatness. But at the end of the first quarter, 26-18, like it, you could tell that my palms were getting sweaty, seeing maybe there's going to be a change in the NBA Finals, and lo and behold, LeBron doesn't play like that. He's back.
Not the change of guards yet.
It's like the Bleacher Report. It's called Game of Zones, where it's like we're the new king of the East, and it's like back to like what 7 years, and it's still the same.
Yeah, it's wild. One of the quotes from Brad Stevens I saw in the post game, he was saying this is the only team he's felt like could win a basketball game shooting 34% from the field, and I mean so true. Boston's offense hasn't been the best, but it's been their defense that has kept them in these games, kept them in this postseason and this series specifically. But just down the stretch, they needed a little more offense, and they just couldn't produce. And that was pretty much it.
And on the other hand, the Cavs just got enough. Um, Jeff Green was amazing in 42 minutes, shooting 50% from the field, finished with 19 points. Got 3 threes from JR, one from Corver. And despite the fact that they actually didn't have a great shooting night, they just got enough offense to will them through. LeBron, even though he had 8 turnovers, I thought that he had 24 field goals attempts, which means he didn't actually force it that much. He still, in the third quarter, I mean, throughout the whole game, was trusting his teammates. There was definitely some commenting going on Twitter and also broadcast on the game for LeBron to just start passing the ball once the shooters weren't hitting again. But he just kept trusting it, and I compliment LeBron for that. For just keep on driving. If somebody was open, he was giving it to him. And, just that little confidence that he installs in his teammates by doing that, must have helped Jeff Green to just have this great game that was exactly what LeBron needed.
Game 7 will forever be known as the Jeff Green game.
The Boston Jeff Green revenge game.
Pardon?
No, it's just crazy to say that, they had to have a Jeff Green good game to make it to the finals in a Game 7 away. Like, who would have thought?
He was what they called the other Cavaliers.
He had to step
up.
But
another interesting thing to note is that LeBron, he played the whole game. He played full 48 minutes. He scored 35, 15, and 9, near triple-double, never coming off the court, shooting 50%. Just seeing him work in this atmosphere, in this high-pressure situations, playing all 48 minutes, how is this guy not sustained an injury? Like, knock on wood, I hope nothing of the sort, but you're running this guy into the ground.
Oh, I'm sure he's beat up, but this is what he lives for. I mean, he's done it all season. He hasn't missed a game all year. One of the big storylines of his team, and showing his team what it's going to take. And whether he stays with the team in the future or not. Every player that's been on this team, I'm sure, has gained a lot of experience, whatever happens going forward in the finals, just watching this man work. But I'm sure he's beat up. He's got nicks and bruises. The man gets hit every time he goes to the rim. And that's why he's great. He lives for these moments. Some would say he's born for these moments. And it's a spectacle to watch and absolutely fantastic when he's on the floor.
I think too, when looking at like the compare and contrast of the kind of players that you expect to be kind of coming up big in these games, the two people that come to mind are one, Terry Rozier, again like we mentioned, 0 for 10 from 3, but also on the flip side with Cleveland, we got Kyle Korver, who also didn't really show up that much. He played only 18 minutes, scored 3 points on 1 for 6 field goal attempts, and all of those field goal attempts coming from beyond the arc. I mean, when you're kind of comparing the two, I feel like the Cavs really just survived because Terry Rozier was having that rough game too. It kind of made up for Korver.
Yeah, I mean, Boston's offense down the stretch was terrible. They couldn't buy a bucket, and that was the tale of the tape. But that being said, a guy on the Cleveland rosters that did show up, probably his best game in the series, was J.R. Smith. So hopefully he can carry that going into the finals. But he hit a couple threes and was effective on both ends of the floor, which was really great to see for J.R. get him going.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm kind of looking to is the impact that Tristan Thompson's going to have going forward. Of course, at the center position in the finals, it's going to be a little bit different for him. It's going to be most likely Kevon Looney, but is he really going to be able to have a real presence? Because back in the Houston series with Golden State, it almost kind of nullified Clint Capella's presence.
Yeah, absolutely. Without Kevin Love though, let's say for game 1, they need Tristan Thompson, but they may decide to go big. I think this series as well against the Warriors, just to maybe try to force them to play. excuse me, either Looney with Draymond or as well Jordan Bell and Looney together, which we saw against the Rockets off the bench. So I think Tristan Thompson, just LeBron can trust him to do what he's known to do: rebound, protect the rim, and play good pick and roll defense. Be able to switch on the guard, stay in front, and I think if he does that, he'll stay on the court.
Yeah. Before we get too far into the finals here, we have to talk about another Game 7. LeBron riding and dying with his teammates. That's going to be the case. And then the Houston Rockets riding and dying with their 3. Obviously, that's the story over in the West. So let's hop over to the Game 7 in the West that we just witnessed and what happened there. Why don't you get us started, Zach?
I guess first question I have for you guys is, what do I do with the jersey now?
Wear it strong. He's still MVP. He's going to get MVP.
Oh, yeah, still MVP. I got that on clearance section for $70, so yeah, still going to wear it fine. So
absolutely. I'm sure he'll have another MVP-like season next year. So lots of years added
Game
to the
7
collection.
was definitely interesting. More or less, they were riding or dying with the 3. Like you said, Seb, the Houston, their identity was speed, pace, and threes. Defense is really there when Chris Paul's kind of the floor general, but the Rockets, they definitely missed out on Chris Paul being there. And there's always going to be a slight asterisk at the end of this series or at the end of this game because both Iguodala and Chris Paul weren't there for a good chunk of a couple games there. You also have Steve Kerr going on record saying if Iguodala was playing, he was all healthy, we would have won in 5. If Chris Paul was to be healthy and play, they would have won in 7. So who knows? These are all the what-if statements that we have here. So, yeah.
Doesn't matter for the Warriors and Steve Kerr at this point, though. They're moving forward and looking at some great stuff. A lot of comparisons to be made from both Game 7s in the East and West, though. With a guy like Terry Rozier, who we just mentioned, 0 of 10 from 3. Trevor Ariza, very uncharacteristic of him in the Houston game. I think he was 0 of 9 or 0 of 10 as well, just not showing up from three-point range, and the whole team 27 misses in a row, NBA playoff record, and obviously that's the big storyline there. But it just felt, and maybe this is just how it looks after you watch that many misses, which I haven't quite seen before. That by the end of the game, the quality of those threes was not the same as we've seen at the beginning of the game and in other games that the Houston was getting up. But they're okay with that as long as the shot gets off. That's their offense, and it just wasn't enough. But it felt weird and strange at the end going down the stretch. Players just not knowing that it's not working right now, and they're still jacking it up. So I don't know if there was a chance to close it out. We can look to the refs. There were a couple plays I felt that could have been calls for Houston and could have been some points. A 4-point play call that could have been possible on a Harden shot. I think it was in the third or fourth quarter, and to me it looked like it was a foul going up for a shot. He hit the shot, and then the ref said it was on the floor. There were a couple iffy calls, but they officiated pretty well on both ends. They were consistent on both ends. Both players were getting similar calls on both ends, so I'm happy with that, but definitely uncharacteristic of Houston.
Absolutely. Refs, I thought, influenced the game a little bit, but it happens. On the other hand, about the 3-point shooting, to keep going despite missing, I really believe that if Chris Paul would have been out there, it probably would have been different. I think he's just Harden's personality isn't like Chris to just take over and just tell these guys to calm down, stop shooting these. And of course, he would have went to his mid-range jumper a lot, which was what they had in mind all along, which was Chris Paul was going to be that plan B, that option B, that when the three doesn't work, you can have Chris Paul come off the pick and roll and attack the rim and shoot his mid-range. So it's a big shame because we'll never know. However, the showcasing of shooting by Curry and KD in the second half was amazing to watch. And once those two get going, it's really hard to stop.
All started by their defense too. Great defense in the second half by the Golden State Warriors. A lot of those threes for Steph Curry coming in transition off steals, off open fast break shots, and really reversed the scripts where Houston started a lot with second chance points, and they just completely flipped it. It's the largest Game 7 comeback in NBA playoffs history. I think they were down 10 or 11 and a half. That's the most deficit that any team's come back in a Game 7 to win. Pretty remarkable, but obviously that's that Golden State Warriors team. It seemed expected. At least they would make it a game, and they showed out in that third and fourth quarter to show who they are, but definitely the favorites going into this finals.
So some new developments coming after the game, obviously. One of the reporters, Jonathan Fegan, or Feigen, however you want to pronounce it, has announced on Twitter that PJ Tucker apparently played Game 7 after having 3 root canals. Didn't tell any of his teammates, and he played the most minutes on the court. I think that's kind of ridiculous. He played 45 minutes, 34 seconds, all after having 3 root canals the day prior.
That's PJ Tucker for you, man. He's there's not many players tougher than him in the league. Obviously,
but
saw
do
that
you think that you
Toronto.
could just schedule another day? It's like the biggest game of your career, and you have a root canal the day before.
He showed up. I got nothing against him. He
Yeah.
showed up, played well. The question that makes me think is, could have Chris played? And I mean, I don't know. Obviously, you don't want to push an injury that could, change your next season totally, and you don't want to re-risk hurting anything more. But he was only like 3 games away. I'm sure other players would have toughed that out. But, it's player to player is pain and it's subjective. But definitely, I've seen a couple memes. If this was Kobe, he would have played. And a lot of people like making that comparison. But definitely, Chris Paul was the big factor in that change of the Houston's team.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of comparisons to this could have potentially been like the Jordan flu game, or like something similar to that, but with the Chris Paul hamstring injury game. Like he didn't even give himself the opportunity. So again, subjective with Payne, but who knows?
I don't blame him. I mean, that's not easy to do, but I'm sure some other players, would have been out there, and obviously I think even an injured Chris Paul would have been beneficial to this team at that point.
Mm-hmm. I just find it interesting to note that of all the people that D'Antoni could have played, he chose 8 minutes of Ryan Anderson over any sort of minutes with Luc Mbah a Moute. I mean, that kind of just shows how much he's dropped off in the rotation. But it's almost seems as Ryan Anderson's been deemed unplayable in certain matchups. Like this year, too. He's got a ridiculous contract, too, moving forward.
He was huge for them in the season. He was huge for them in the season.
Huge in the season, but when matchups came, it kind of came a little bit too difficult.
And let me say, in Game 7, when he was out there, it felt like it was D'Antoni looking for a lineup in that third quarter. It was quick in and out with these guys, trying to find someone that would stick and get them going. But obviously, everyone on the court couldn't hit a bucket, including Ryan Anderson. But it's tough. I mean, it's too bad he couldn't have been out there and contributed a little more. But D'Antoni was searching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was also looking to get his starters some minutes of rest, even just a few, and just throw out the wild card of Ryan Anderson. It didn't work. Warriors targeted him on defense, and Curry had a few crossovers, pretty nasty ones on him. And same with Iso Joe, he threw him out there a few minutes. Couldn't hit a shot as well. Really can't fault D'Antoni for trying at least.
I mean, like they tried their best. They scored 92. So 92 isn't enough to beat the Warriors, but it's a definite shot when it really came down to defense in these last couple of games. Defense was buckets were really hard to come by in this series nearing the end, especially for two of the top offensive teams. When we look back on this series, of course, going before the series happened, we were looking forward to really high scoring games, not as much defense, but just a lot of buckets. This series came out, and it really came down to the best defensive team. And I think that kind of speaks to the phrase defense wins championships.
Absolutely. It's good to see that's still a trend in the NBA. It's nice watching this gritty basketball and both teams get out. It gives everyone a chance, and the game does slow down and every possession is more important, but this game could have been different. 0 for 27. There was 27 3-point shots jacked up that resulted in no points. That's terrible. I mean, 92 points, whether it be Golden State's defense, that's great for them, but it's not what Houston wants to come out and do with their mentality of a team. So definitely a disappointment for them with or without Chris Paul. All right, let's move on, boys.
Sounds good. So right at the beginning of the podcast, we were kind of mentioning some burner accounts and having to set those to private. So Sancho, do you mind taking us away here?
Well, story developing late last night, East Coast time, involving Sixers president, general manager Brian Colangelo, who apparently has been very, very active on Twitter and seems to be using multiple accounts, of course, under fake aliases, to comment on anything related to the Sixers, specifically players such as Embiid, Okafor, Fultz in the past, and really anything to do with the Sixers, specifically to defend Colangelo's image at all times. And funny to me is also that there's hate from these accounts towards the Raptors, specifically Masai Ujiri, who's of course the person who took over for Colangelo in Toronto, but as well as for like Sam Hinkie, who was the predecessor to Colangelo in Philadelphia. So it's really, really comical to me, but I am at that point now where I find it hard to believe that Colangelo had no idea about it, quote unquote, or wasn't as involved as it seems right now, based on the fact already that the Sixers, in one of the statements that he put out, admitted that one of them was his account. So what do you guys think about this?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's coming from the Ringer, and I'm pretty confident in that source. It sounds like they did quite a bit of deep diving, at least accounting all these accounts and bringing up all these different tweets that are in question here, and making some connections to some of his past actually in Phoenix going way back. The best defense I think Colangelo has is that he's 52. And how many 52-year-olds do you know that are this proficient on Twitter? He's been at it for a while, and he's really good. 5 burner accounts.
It's nuts.
Some crazy tweets coming from them. This is all funny, but going back to Nerlens Noel, there's some talking about claiming he's a punk, and the Joel Embiid re-injury that he knew that he was injured and didn't tell doctors, and he was willing to bet the farm on that. So Zach, when we first brought this discussion up, that this report came out, Zach was like, "Oh, whatever, not too fazed by this." But for me, this says a lot about a character. I think it's legit. I mean, I trust the Ringer until I see something different. I'm going with it. I'm rolling with it. Seems to be pretty common in the NBA right now, but it says a lot about Colangelo's character, and I don't think you can be doing that in any workplace. It's just not a good environment for belittling other people behind their backs, essentially. But just to embellish himself, kind of weird dynamic going on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I think of this situation, I think very similarly of the Kevin Durant burner account scandal that happened a bit earlier in the season, and it's like, oh, just common mistake kind of thing. But I don't know, just the use of Twitter and how much it's kind of like influenced NBA, like the reporters, how they're putting all of their information out there, how a lot of people look to the players and their personal lives on Twitter as well. And as we've seen with this burner account situation, it mind boggles me how much social media and things of this sort have kind of been engulfed by the NBA, just especially in these last couple of years. Like, imagine how much random crap would have come out on Twitter, or back in the 90s. The 90s would have been amazing for Twitter, like all the stuff coming out from there, like all like the stories about what's going on with Jordan, like ripping apart teammates in practice, or even like imagine the Malice at the Palace. Imagine having like Twitter or Reddit for that. Like, we'd have field days on that. Just ridiculous to see where the NBA and social media has come from.
Yeah, and it seems to affect the players.
Mm-hmm.
They value it. It seems to be important for them. For some of them a lot, some of them not at all. And it's not just a negative aspect of it. It can be positive. You post something, you share it with fans, you get retweets, you get a lot of love for your post, such as Embiid. Obviously, that helps your image. But if it wouldn't bother anybody, then we wouldn't see this stuff come out. I mean, I remember Steve Kerr, the one. Oh, it was supposed to be a direct message, the one about the reffing with James Harden, and so KD, as Zach mentioned. So yeah, social media's impact can't be understated.
Mm-hmm. So here's a conspiracy for all y'all. So Colangelo came out saying, "Oh, this is all false. Somebody must be out to get me." So now we must move our focus to who is this guy? Who is the one that's out to get Colangelo? We have some thoughts that it might be ex-Philly worker, good old Sam Hinkie. So let me just explain this further. So some fans have been suggesting that the ex-Sixers general manager, Sam Hinkie, leaked Colangelo's story because Hinkie is also an investor in some company that is a machine that learns and kind of adapts artificial intelligence. So they're saying that some of these burner accounts could have worked in artificial intelligence, picking up on tendencies from Colangelo, but this is all some Black Mirror type crap. So who really knows what's actually going on, but food for thought.
Okay. Keeping up with my tradition of bringing in some sort of childhood cartoon into the mix. Did you ever see the Scooby-Doo movie, the one with real people in it?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, Sancho.
Yeah, I've seen it, bro.
Yeah, and like
Wait, which one? Scrappy Doo or the monster one?
the monster one, and then the suit is worn by I think it's the small Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's inside of it. I think that Sam Hinkie the whole time has actually been Joel Embiid, and when Joel Embiid got healthy and came back from injury, he had to take the suit off and actually play, and that's where Sam Hinkie went. But Joel Embiid the whole time has been Sam Hinkie to take it to another step. Or
He
maybe
really
it's
is
this
a
artificial
machine.
intelligence that is Sam Hinkie. He's not a real person. Let's talk about reality. Hard to believe or not. Let's say this is Brian Colangelo.
Mm-hmm.
I have a tweet here. If I had a medium-sized ladder, I would love to knock some sense into Joel's head right now. He's playing like a toddler having tantrums.
Maybe he just needed an outlet to get his frustration out.
Could have been.
Okay. They do have therapists for this, and I'm sure the team is willing to pay for it.
You can get him another therapy dog.
This, true or not, is bringing up a whole nother discussion around the 76ers franchise and how he has dealt with injuries. Being very, very quiet on what's going on, whether it was the Markelle Fultz injury, how Joel was injured, and what went on there. If we do believe these tweets, well, we did get a little more insight onto that Joel injury, but Colangelo right now is still denying that. So I don't know. Joel had no problem believing it right off the bat, and I'm gonna trust the process on this one. Sam Hinkie, I'm sorry, Colangelo did call him to affirm that it wasn't him and that he only had heard of one of the accounts before. So Joel's waiting for other evidence, and so am I. But I'm gonna believe this Ringer account of it.
Mm-hmm. Another thing coming from the tweets that the Ringer has kind of brought up, kind of referencing Markelle Fultz's injury. So one of the burner accounts tweeted out that Markelle Fultz's trainer allegedly forced him to change his shot, and that the trainer was basically trying to serve as a father figure for Fultz while he was dating Fultz's mother. So maybe there was some ulterior motive there. Maybe there was something else going on, that it wasn't necessarily Fultz's choice to change his shot. I mean, you see it in baseball all the time where you can get a raw pitcher or a raw player come in and they change the whole mechanics of their throwing arm, everything like that. You really don't see it that much in the NBA until they've just seen a lot of failure with the current way that things are going. So to see him not even really play a couple games in the NBA with this so-called injury, we don't really know what exactly it was. It's very up in the air with his shoulder. Maybe this was an ulterior thing,
Yeah, all I've seen of him prior to the NBA was the summer league leading up to it, and he played like a superstar. Well, at least in the summer league, he was hitting jumpers from all over the place and got the praise of the likes of Kevin Durant and many more. And you just didn't see those same type of shots from the small sample size in the games he played in the latter of this season. So I don't know where the comparison is there, but Markelle Fultz right now is just a drive to the basket, pass first kind of guy right now. I think for the 76ers, hopefully he can do something on his own or with the organization to make sure his jumper is good and ready for next season, though. Only disappointing thing about this Ringer article for me is that they released it just a little bit too early. I would have liked to see a couple more tweets from Brian Colangelo under one of these burner accounts about the Ben Simmons Kendall Jenner relationship that's just been hitting the airwaves. If you guys aren't familiar, Ben Simmons is reportedly, we'll go a little TMZ here, guys. Bear with us. I'll bring it around, okay? We're not about this gossip, but this is entertaining at this point. I mean, James Harden, the curse came true. Where was that playoff play? Tristan Thompson, he's bounced back. So roles are reversing here. We're seeing a lot of these come true. And Ben Simmons is allegedly dating Kendall Jenner. And I would have loved to see Colangelo's take on that, because I think the Kardashian curse does translate over to the Jenners. And this isn't good news for the 76ers. It's a sad day, so.
Oh, man. Okay, wait. So Kendall's dating Ben Simmons. Is
this is hot
Kylie the
off the
one
press.
dating? What?
This is hot off the press. This is like
Oh man,
a day ago.
gee, is Kylie the one dating Blake?
Oh, Kendall was, I think. And now
Kendall was
she's with
dating
Ben
Blake.
now.
She just loves these light skins, eh?
Definitely loves basketball players.
Okay.
Oh man. Yeah, she's got a type.
The same one.
That
I am
Kardashian
bru-
curse is real.
Pardon? Oh yeah, the
Kardashian
Kardashian curse is real. Oh jeez.
Keeping with the Sixers here, though, you guys haven't seen the footage of Ben Simmons playing on the park like Rocky Balboa. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. This windmill dunk, he's making these adults look like children out there, and it is absolutely the best entertainment you can watch right now. Any park in Philadelphia, watch out. Joel Embiid is out there, and you're going to get dunked on. You're going to get embarrassed. It's amazing.
Man, I just love the fact that he pulled out some like button combos from like NBA Street like 2, Volume 2. Like I remember playing this on my GameCube, man. It's literally called Off the Heezy. The buddy just lobs it off the guy's forehead, takes it, windmill dunk. Like that is nothing you will see anywhere else except for a street game.
Pretty amazing. These guys, if I was out there, he'd be doing the same thing to me. So
Man,
no shame.
just Joel is living his best life right now. He goes from like living top of the world, posting these videos on social media of him like dunking on these guys, and then the Colangelo thing happens, and then it was a roller coaster for Joel these last day.
I'm sure it was for Colangelo too. Where is he going to vent about Joel Embiid risking injury on these parks? I see a lot of people talking about, Joel, you shouldn't be out there playing with these guys. You're going to get injured on this concrete. But I mean, I love it.
He'll go
Yeah,
and make a tumbler or something.
He's going to have to find a way to vent or he's going to blow. But, I'd like to see Sam Hinkie somewhere.
Oh, jeez. Sam Hinkie will. Apparently, he's been contacted by, I believe it was a hockey team. I saw it on Reddit, but they're trying to get into like advanced analytics. So I guess like they see that he's got a keen eye for change and a keen way to do ulterior ways to bring success back. Obviously, tanking and trusting the process kind of is bringing their season success now. But imagine what they could do to a hockey team with 20 players instead of the 14. There's a lot of extra things there.
Yeah, I believe it was a NFL team actually, Zach.
Oh, NFL. Okay.
Yeah, he did some consulting, analytics consulting for the Broncos actually.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so in football.
What
Yeah,
league's
fact
that
checker
with?
over
The No Freedom League?
here. Oh, good old NFL. Just not even gonna open up that can yet. Oh, but yeah, no. This has been a good couple. Yeah, it's been like what, 2 days since the basketball games happened, and at least things have been happening. We got some Joel on the street. We got this Colangelo situation. It's never been a dull moment.
Yeah, this is just the warm up for the off season. It's gonna be crazy this year.
Oh, the off season's gonna be a whole nother pod in itself.
Right.
Oh,
Well,
but yeah.
let's hop into what we've all been waiting for. The NBA Finals. This is the top of the top, the cream of the crop, and we're seeing LeBron James and a bunch of scrubs go up against the Golden State Warriors. So
We're going for 4.
what's LeBron gonna average?
What's the over under? Is it going to be higher or lower than 38?
Yeah, just put your money on Golden State. Whether you make $10, it's money made. It's money in the bank. Take it, okay? This time you do want to bet against LeBron.
Oh, the funny thing is that with this being the fourth time that the Golden State Warriors and the Cavs have met, it's almost as if the narrative changes all the time. Like last year, very similar. It was going for the best of three, and that was their narrative too. But obviously, them adding Kevin Durant kind of gave them this label of the villain of the NBA. Throughout like this 8-year span that LeBron's been making it to the finals, he's kind of seen himself in the eyes of two visions. It's either he is achieving for greatness, trying to chase Michael, and try to do as much as he can to cement his own legacy. But then there's also the other side that view him as this villain who just does nothing but try to win champions and does whatever he can to be this side GM thing. But now, do we have two villains, or who's really the cheering point in this series? Because I'm heavily favoriting cheering for Cavs, because it seems that they're the heavy underdog going into the season, or going into this finals.
Yeah, I think you need to fish, some storylines. You need to dig a little deeper in the series to try to get more hype, more excited for it, because it's repetitive fourth time in a row. To me, what stands out is, of course, the LeBron greatness question. I mean, this would arguably be his greatest achievement if he wins a ring with this team, especially over this finalist, the Warriors. And on the other hand, a storyline that kind of falls off because of what you just explained, Zach, in regards to KD, is that, to a lot of people, and I think I would include myself, Kevin Durant is probably the second best player in the world right now, behind LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we have, so arguably the best player in the world going up against the second best player in the world in the finals, LeBron has just been so dominant and so great that he's put that question already to bed, so to speak, for another year at least. That even though if KD again has an amazing finals like last year, and even gets finals MVP, and the Warriors win again in 4 or 5 games, I don't think, sadly, there won't be a debate, who's the best in the world, because, LeBron's so far ahead of KD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. If LeBron James was somehow to pull this series off and win another ring, the debate would be over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any more debate left. I think willing it to this conference finals was already, pretty amazing what he's done with this team. That being said, I don't think there's a chance that LeBron James wins this series. I think Golden State has this in the bag. It'll be nice to see if the Cavs can maybe pull out one win. But watching the last series, I don't know. I think that Steph Curry is more important to that Golden State Warriors team than Kevin Durant is. Their success is more dependent on Steph Curry than Kevin Durant. And just because he gets the whole team moving and involved, and when he does that, he's deadly from everywhere. The ball is being moved in transition. He's getting open threes, getting to the rim, and just makes everyone so much better. Whereas Kevin Durant on this team, and maybe it would be different in a different team, but what I've seen from his career here or in OKC, when he gets the ball is his, and he gets a bucket. Doesn't necessarily get teammates buckets, and he does it he makes tough shots, does some pretty amazing moves, similar to LeBron, but I think my vote's going for Steph Curry for Finals MVP for this series. I think Steph Curry's going to be a huge factor in this next series offensively.
Mm-hmm. Just honestly, when you say back to the Houston Rockets Golden State series, to be honest, it kind of gives me a bit more hope for the Cavs. As much as like the Golden State Warriors, they stress and they preach ball movement and passing and assists and all that. You could say that the Golden State Warriors almost tried to play to the Rockets with their ISO heavy games and not necessarily passing as much. If the Cavs go into an ISO like kind of matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers, yes, they have ISO players like Curry and Durant and Curry and Durant. There are other players that can kind of create a shot for themselves, but if the ball's not fizzing around, it's hard for Klay Thompson to really get a good ball, good movement. It's hard for Draymond to really get his footing in there too. Like LeBron, we already know that he's going to try to will this team to whatever victory it can be. So we know that the ball is going to be moving through him almost 90% of the game. When it comes to Kerr, he likes to give everyone equal opportunities. He likes to give everyone the chance to get hot and give them the chance to really get into their motion. But when you're against LeBron, you really can't afford that necessarily. You really need to just stick with what you're good at. And with the Warriors, if they're going to win, they have to go back to their own identity and not slump down to playing to the Cavs level.
Yeah, I think for the Golden State Warriors, they found their identity in this Houston series. Obviously, Steph was still coming back from an injury and getting in rhythm and figuring how he can gel with this team. And I think we saw it in Game 6, Game 7, in those second halves, just how they can get that ball moving and get their team going in the way they'd like to, and doing such a great team. So I think Golden State Warriors is going to come into this next game with their offense at top performance. I think that Cleveland Cavaliers can come in with great offense as well. But for me, where the series is won and won big is on the defensive end. Obviously, all year, Cleveland Cavaliers have been playing very, very poor defense. They showed a little in this last game against Boston, but it's not going to be enough when LeBron has to go up against, whether it be Draymond Green on him, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant. Just that length alone, those three players. If Iggy comes back, it's a whole nother challenge for LeBron James, and there's just too many bodies being thrown at him and at his teammate. So defensively, Golden State Warriors are far superior, and when they're performing at their best, and it's at the best at the defensive end that gets their offense going, they are a way better defensive team than Boston is, and it's going to be much more of a challenge for Cavaliers to break that. I don't think Golden State's going to be putting any zone out there.
Yeah, so kind of rising development that we've seen from this matchup coming up. Andre Iguodala has already been ruled out for Game 1. Do you think that changes and makes it more likely for the Cavs to steal one at home, potentially?
Yeah, actually, I put money on the Cavs in Game 1. And I think, just to get a bit dig deeper into it, I think the only game that if they steal a game, it's Game 1. And I know that this may sound crazy, probably talking myself into it a bit, but, Iggy's out. So that's first thing. Second thing is, we've seen the Warriors, come out flat, not have that focus, play switch on and off mentality of, let's just turn it on, then we'll make this run in the third. And, and if for whatever reason, and I don't really know what to pinpoint specifically, but if the Cavs, if LeBron or if Lou, may that be the pace, or may that be a certain matchup or a certain approach on defense, if they somehow surprise the Warriors with something in Game 1, I'm fishing here, but if they find something that maybe surprises them, Cavs may be able to steal Game 1. Whatever adjustment that may be, it won't be good enough that the Warriors won't figure it out for the series and this goes 6-7. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I think Game 1 is actually the best opportunity for them. One other thing I want to say quick is that LeBron had a day more of rest, which is, it's a factor. He just played 48. He had another day extra this time. So, yeah. Cavs Game 1? What you guys think?
I would love to see the Cavs come out and just shock the world here, because nobody has them winning. Nobody really has them as a favorite for this series. The Warriors are heavy favorites. Like that's what Las Vegas kind of came out with. I think the Warriors were negative 1,100 in the betting odds. So it's gonna take a miracle.
Yeah, they just don't have the personnel. What you mentioned previously, Zach, about how the Rockets enforced their defensive style on the Warriors and made them play in a way that wasn't their style. The Cavs can, try to do the same thing and, look at ways the Rockets did it, look at film, but they just don't have the personnel. Can Kevin Love stay in front of Steph and KD, the way Capella did or the way PJ Tucker did? Probably not. Kevin Love, he's not even healthy right now. and
Mhm.
it just, like we're saying, it just seems too steep of a hill this time for LeBron.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of comparisons to the 2015 matchup. Obviously, LeBron didn't have a great supporting cast in that series with the injuries of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love that year.
Delhi.
There, absolutely, Delhi was a guy that stepped up for them and was a huge part. They got 2 wins in that series. It was a 4-2 finish, and LeBron James put his best performance out every game, and played phenomenally. I expect the same and more from LeBron James in this series. I think he's going to be there every game, absolutely doing everything, and we're going to be able to watch some amazing LeBron James, some amazing greatness, and win or lose, it's something you can't miss. If Kevin Love does come back at some point in this series, I think there's a chance that maybe they can get 2 games. I would love to see them do something more, but I don't know the status on Kevin Love for Game 1. He must still be out. Is there any updates on that?
I believe he's still in concussion protocol.
Concussion protocol.
So day to day, I
Mhm.
guess.
So that's a tough one. If you can't get Kevin Love there, I think you have good coaching in Tyronn Lue, and that's only going to help LeBron in the series. But the Golden State Warriors have got better from them then, and you have a guy like Kevin Durant added, and it's just a huge mountain to climb for LeBron James by himself. He couldn't do it on his own. 4 finals ago. I don't think he's going to be able to do it again this time. So I give the Cleveland Cavaliers 1 game, and I hope I can see a little more. But regardless, I'm happy to see LeBron James do his work and be the amazing basketball player he is.
Hmm. Yeah, I just remember that the 2015 matchup. They were giving meaningful minutes to Timofey Mozgov, and look where he's been now. that's a player that you haven't seen in a long time, especially with the contract that the Lakers gave him. But when you're looking at personnel, like Sanchez said, this arguably the personnel isn't there to really match up well with the Warriors. The matchups really aren't there. We've got George Hill, who's going to be guarding Steph Curry. Would you rather have J.R. Smith guarding Klay Thompson? Probably not ideal, but what would it be? LeBron on either KD or Draymond, or whoever, if Kevin Love is going to play, or if they put maybe even what's his name, Larry Nance Jr. on KD. That would be horrible, but it'd be fun. And wherever you really put Tristan Thompson, like Tristan Thompson against Kevon Looney, those are going to be interesting matchups to begin with. It's almost as if the Warriors beat them 4 out of 5 on all these matchups. And arguably with the defensive, potentially Draymond Green on LeBron, that's going to be difficult for LeBron as well.
Yeah, it's going to be too much for LeBron. Looking at both Draymond, KD, I think you're going to see Klay switch on him, and Klay can hold his own. That being said, LeBron, if he does want to stay in the series, he's going to have to match up with KD every time down. And I'm not sure if LeBron James is going to get any more than 4 minutes of rest every game. He's going to have to play almost every game, every minute. And Tyronn Lue's going to have to manage timeouts well to give him that rest, to allow him to be out there as long as he can, because otherwise this Golden State Warriors team can go on a run in 30 seconds, him off the floor, and that's game. There's just no coming back.
Yeah, I thought it was a very cool move, interesting move by Ty Lue in Game 7 of the Celtics series, how he called 2 timeouts in a row, back to back, before he was going to lose the 1 timeout anyways, but he called it back to back just so LeBron could have, an extended rest and then finish off the game. And to what we're talking about matchup-wise, I think, LeBron, in order to carry that load offensively and play that many minutes, he's been pacing himself, which has meant that on defense he's looked a bit kind of disengaged and has sometimes, been late to rotations and looked a bit lost. And in this series, he can't do that. Against the Celtics, he could just leave Marcus Smart wide open, And in this series, if they put it on Draymond, who showed in the Rocket series that he just couldn't make a three anymore for some reason, he could maybe play more off the ball and then roam around more, be able to help more. But I think so as well, Seb, that he's just gonna end up being matched up with KD in a lot of possessions, and he's gonna have to exert energy on the defensive end as well.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt, it's going to take everything out of LeBron, but it's going to be great to watch that matchup both ends of the floor. I think obviously at every other position, Golden State Warriors has an advantage, and if KD is able to, draw that attention from LeBron, still make him work, and be able to get the ball also out of his hands, Golden State Warriors on the offensive end are going to be able to beat everyone else. So it's tough. I hope we can see Kevin Love return at some point and maybe change the dynamic of the series, but I expect to see the similar performance as in the 2015 finals from LeBron James.
Mm-hmm. So another narrative that's going around is which is the better team? This current iteration of the Cleveland Cavaliers, where LeBron, J.R. Smith, the missing piece of Kevin Love, et cetera, would you rather have this team playing this year's Warriors, or would you rather have the 2007 Cleveland Cavaliers face the Warriors?
Oh, wow.
Because that team was headlined by Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Drew Gooden, Larry Hughes, and Sasha Pavlovich. And good old Anderson Varejao from back then. With, I think it was like very young LeBron averaging 25, 8, and 8. So...
yeah, the comparison is fair, I think. Quality-wise and experience-wise and playoffs-wise to compare those two teams. But I still think that this one's a bit better, especially Kevin Love. When Kevin Love is out there, perennial all-star, 2010 average, that he didn't have that in 07.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear to me. There's absolutely some great comparisons to be made between the two teams, but I'm going to take the more experienced, older LeBron James every time.
He's developed this old man game. It's scary.
Not that I think it's going to make a difference, but I think it's, he's seen a lot. And obviously the core guys that have been there for all these 4 years. So I expect JR to play a little better. I just pulled up LeBron's stats from the 2015 NBA Finals. Averaged 45.7 minutes a game. That's a lot.
Ridiculous.
I expect, 44 from him every night this series if they want to stay within it. Had 35.8 points per game, 8.8 assists, and 13.3 rebounds. Almost averaged a triple-double in the NBA Finals. Obviously, the NBA Finals award MVP went to Andre Iguodala that year for his great defense on LeBron James. But I would say better squads on both sides. I just think that even if LeBron James puts up those numbers, which I expect him to at this point, probably put up better, he's going to have to average 40-plus points a game. And it's still not going to be enough for this team.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's going to be a fun series, to say the least.
We sure about that?
Well, I mean, it's LeBron who's going for greatness versus the three championships in 4 years.
But let's clear stuff. I mean, going for greatness, is that if he wins? So I mean, there's come on.
I know he's already achieved greatness.
You think he's gonna win this series? You think there's any chance? Any chance? I can't see a way he beats this team. There has to be multiple injuries on Golden State Warriors. Knock on wood. For him to pull this out, in my opinion. That being said, I think he's done as much greatness as he can for this year. I think everyone knows that he's outmatched by this Golden State Warriors team. He's definitely outmatched, and no one's holding that against him.
Golden State Warriors.
If it was Michael Jordan, he wouldn't be able to beat this team with this Cleveland roster. Doesn't matter. You put any one of the greats in there. I don't know
Ooh,
if they can.
That's a
will
hot
it in.
take.
hot take, yeah.
I don't think that there's anyone that can will in it. But I don't think it takes away from LeBron James' greatness. I think
No.
him making it to this point was everything he could do this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, but I think just saying from a fun factor, right, Zach? In the sense of, what would you tell yourself, get more hyped about this series? I think one of those points would be the fact that, any type of close games, or even if the Cavs go up at one point in the series, would just, at least that intrigue of could LeBron pull this off, take another step of greatness, is pretty much the only thing that does get me, hyped about the series. That's
Mhm.
about it.
Look, I'm not gonna lie to myself. This is cut and clear. The Golden State Warriors have this in the bag, pending no injuries.
Or suspensions.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, but we got all Warriors in 5, right? We all agree.
Yeah, so I mean,
No.
I'm not gonna lie to myself and say there's some way LeBron can make it happen. I mean, he's
Oh.
amazing. He's amazing, and I'm totally amped to just watch him play basketball, win or lose. Because win or lose, he's gonna put it all out on the line, and that's gonna be amazing to watch.
Mhm.
Will it be close? No. No. The off season's close, and we can start getting our prayers up for the Toronto Raptors soon enough. Gonna need a
So
lot
I
of
guess we're
those.
gonna close off this pod with a bit of our predictions for this series. Sancho's already kind of alluded to what he feels is going to happen to this.
Yeah, Warriors in 5, and it is being kind to LeBron, but get swept. Nah, I'm in 5. Warriors in 5.
I got Warriors in 5. If we can see Kevin Love come back by game 2, I give them a chance at getting two games out of this series, but it's Golden State Warriors in 5.
See, I'm saying there's a chance. I want to see another iconic moment like the block we saw in 2016. We're going to Game 7, baby. Game 7! We're going to Game 7! It is going to be amazing. LeBron is going to cement himself as the greatest basketball player who ever lived on the planet. It is going to be amazing to watch. He's taking this in 7.
Whoa. Sorry. Can you say that again? You're saying that LeBron James is going to win this in 7 games?
Oh, Hundo P, you can write me down for that one.
Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. Oh my goodness. Okay. I hope you're right, but I'm like Sancho said, giving Cleveland Cavaliers 1 game is being kind.
It sucks to say it, but it's just it's how it is. We broke down the matchups. We talked about certain things. I mean, 2015 they played at super slow pace. Just make this game grind and slow and ugly to watch, I guess. But still, it's just not enough. It's just not enough. They just don't have enough weapons.
Are you telling me that Cleveland Cavaliers aren't going to have 10 to 12 turnovers every game?
I'd hope not.
Hope not. Now, if Golden State gets a hand on some of those turnovers, are they going to do better than the Boston Celtics with that ball?
Mhm.
Absolutely. And that's where Golden State gets going. Cleveland Cavaliers are just going to feed into that, and that's it. Boom. Golden State's off to the races, and like I said, Steph Curry, Finals MVP, he's going to be a major factor in this, and I hope you're right, Zach. I hope you're right, and we can see some greatness from LeBron, but in my mind, he's already done everything he can this year, and he's right up there, so win or lose, I'm happy watching him do his work, but if he can get some games off, I'll be there to watch it and witness it, but I just don't think it's possible.
Low key, also rooting for the Cavs because on Twitter not too long ago, Cleveland Browns player Demarius Randall sent out a tweet saying that if the Cleveland Cavaliers win the 2018 NBA Finals, I'll buy everyone who retweets this a jersey. Right now, as we speak, there's 898,000 retweets. I'm one of them. Get your retweets in if you haven't already. We're getting these jerseys. I don't pay for jerseys. I just get them because I win things. So I'm adding to another collection.
What player is this?
Demarius Randall,
Demarius Randall.
Cleveland Browns.
You better check up his salary. Make sure he makes enough for this.
Yeah, he is saying 100% chance he follows through, but not saying which jersey, what kind of jersey. Who knows?
Fair enough. I'll go retweet it.
Yes. Go do it because you know what? If he doesn't, he doesn't. If he does, you get a free jersey. So who cares? But yeah.
That free swag.
Oh, free swag. So we got Warriors in 5, Warriors in 5, Cavs in 7, baby.
And Zach's already recycled that James Harden jersey. Soaked it in tears and recycled it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, this has been a good little addition to our ever-growing library from the Up and Under. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. It's been real. It's been a good one. We'll see this playoff series come out quick.
And we'll be back to analyze it. Well, wait. I'm going off script just because didn't you just say Cavs in 7?
Yeah.
So how is this going to be a short series?
I know. He's trying to wrap it up, but I don't know. Zach, you got a conundrum. I have a feeling next podcast we're going to have a whole different take from you.
Live update right now. Colangelo's wife has the cell phone number ending in 91, which connects her to 3 of the accounts. Amazing plot twist. Amazing. Gotta love
the
NBA.
wife. It's the wife.
It gets deeper.
Jeez.
Lots to talk about in the Colangelo household tonight. Lots to talk about.
So from everybody here at the Up and Under, have a good night and trust the process.
Take it easy.
Process. And get a fall guy.
Always have a fall guy.
Or woman.